Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Louise Huber begins now.
Good evening. Tasmania's medical community is in shock tonight after a doctor was nearly stabbed to death in the Northwest Regional Hospital's emergency department. Heroic colleagues helped save the man's life as police dragged a 17-year-old suspect into custody who has now been charged.
Hospital horror on the northwest coast. At 4:30 yesterday afternoon, a senior doctor was stabbed in Burnie's ED, leaving him critically injured.
This is a very tough day for Tassie Health.
A youth was arrested soon after. Their motive unclear. What is clear is the life-saving reaction of the victim's colleagues.
Staff of the Northwest Regional Hospital performed admirably and superbly.
The doctor was flown to Hobart for treatment. He's critical but stable. Traumatised colleagues are being offered support.
It just goes to show that patient aggression is one of the problems we face.
But medical bodies want better protection for health workers.
The last thing that they should expect to encounter is violence and aggression and serious injuries.
The ANMF wants Tasmania to adopt a 10-point plan being used in Victoria to clamp down on potential attacks.
It's not all up to the individual in terms of actually trying to ensure their own safety. It's very much ingrained.
We would never turn down more security. We would never turn down more staff numbers.
What medical bodies don't want is people being deterred from going to hospital if they're unwell. Late today, police charged a 17-year-old with wounding and 2 counts of threatening police.
You go to work to save lives, not saving the lives of your colleagues, not saving the lives of your mates.
Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
The state government has been accused of trying to silence debate on the recent cyber security breach. The government has called for calm as it works through the threat, but a prominent expert has cast doubt on that call.
It's been 2 days since the tech minister last fronted cameras over the data breach. Now political leaders and media outlets have been sent advice urging caution, saying the media coverage of this event is detrimental to Tasmania's interests and increases its attractiveness as a target for future attacks. A significant event, the only trigger for press conferences now. The note, not well received.
This smacks of a protection racket for incompetent ministers. We've had Minister Ogilvie out every second day making a mess of this issue. And now there are protocols in place and the government saying that they won't be making any further comment.
Even Liberal heavyweight and font publishing boss Brant Stansfield calling it inappropriate and insulting. Police Commissioner Donna Adams co-signed the letter, but Tasmania Police directed questions back to the department handling the response. Even one of Australia's foremost cybersecurity experts is affected after doing business with the Education Department.
I know very little other than I was given or sent a very generic email saying that there had been a data breach.
Calling for more transparency in dealing with the crisis.
Don't just send one email and hope for the best. Keep people in the loop. And, if you haven't learned by now, that's a huge issue because we've had Optus, we've had Medibank. There's been so many high-profile hacks.
What does the government actually know? Secondly, what does the government actually not know? And thirdly, what practical steps should Tasmanians take?
The opposition was initially denied a briefing. They've now been offered one. The playing field shifting, with potentially more documents still to be released by the hackers. Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
It's been revealed Alistair Clarkson didn't complete a key component of his $100,000 consultancy role for the state's AFL bid. The coach was expected to complete a formal report. However, instead he provided verbal recommendations on infrastructure and ownership models.
We had AFL stakeholders, and I know some of them, that engaged with that process in good faith. They were looking forward to that white paper being produced. It was a complete waste of their time.
Asked why the paper was no longer needed, a government spokesperson said the specific requirements evolved without saying why. A 20-year-old Pontville man has had his car impounded and will face dangerous driving charges after Bridgewater Police detected a silver Ford Falcon doing burnouts in Crooked Billet Drive on Saturday night. Police say hooning behaviour is a blatant disregard for the safety of others and the road rules. Anyone with information about the incident is urged to contact police. The nation's best young golfers are teeing off in Tasmania this week. Hobart is hosting the Australian Junior Amateur Championships, with the tournament a starting point for some of our country's best professional players.
Taking the time to get into the swing of things. Competitors this morning were getting to know Tasmania Golf Club. More than 150 golfers will battle over 4 days to be crowned National Amateur Junior Champion.
It's a huge event. It's, in my opinion, the second most prestigious amateur event in the country. It's always nice to get top juniors in the country gathered in one spot.
While the event is a long way from St Andrews and Augusta National, experts say winning the claret jug or green jacket begins here.
The stars of the future are out here behind me. That in a few years' time, people will say, that guy played at Tasmania Golf Club, and that was sensational.
Previous winners include Adam Scott, Jason Day, Cameron Smith, and Women's World number 5, Minjee Lee. 4 Tasmanians, 3 boys and a girl, are looking to use their local knowledge.
It's been an event that I've been looking forward to all year. So yeah, it's definitely a big one, and it'll be nice to hopefully perform well on home soil.
My short game needs a bit of work, but the game feels in a good spot. Yeah, looking forward to it.
And the key to avoid being in the bunker?
You need to be able to play in the wind. The wind is a factor.
Of course, there's the wind.
It makes it a little bit hard, but you got to hit in the right spots.
John Hunt, 7 Tasmania News.
If you're feeling a winter chill, you're not alone. Cold and gusty winds have dragged temperatures across the state to between 5 and 10 degrees below average.
We saw snow down to around 700 and 800 metres yesterday through parts of Tasmania, and Hobart only reached 13 degrees, which was its coldest Easter Sunday since 2006.
Annie Green will have a full wrap of the weather later this hour.
It took extra time, but Kingborough has moved through to the next round of the Women's Statewide Cup. The Lions opening their account against University in stunning fashion just after the hour mark.
And an interesting little chip. Oh, she's done it. A little chip over the top.
University responded with a goal in the 82nd minute through Tash Hines, but Danielle Kennett-Geyser took just 12 seconds of extra time to break the deadlock and keep the Lions Cup campaign alive. Kingborough eventually winning 3-1. A chilly and wintry Hobart day hasn't stopped the action at the inaugural Domain Easter Tennis Championships from getting underway. Adults and juniors will battle it out over the next few days as the event looks to inject more high-level competition into the sport.
The sounds of summer coming to life in wintry conditions. Hobart might be currently serving up an icy blast, but it's not stopping Tasmania's tennis community from hitting the court. The Domain opening its doors today for its first Easter Carnival.
There's lots of Easter tournaments going around Australia at this time, and there's one in Launceston over the weekend, and we're trying to build this one up as well.
It's really nice to have a time where people from all over the state come down.
Adults and juniors playing for more than bragging rights over the course of the tournament.
The adult events are prize money events, and the junior events, they play for junior ranking points.
As the local talent pool continues to deepen, the event is also looking to give the best players more competition.
So ultimately, that's where you win and lose. The more matches kids play, the better they can get at that.
We also do have a group of up-and-coming juniors down here that are getting really talented, that are also really good fun to hit with.
Some players taking inspiration from the game's greats.
My idol has to be Rafa. His grit, determination and just his fighting spirit's just unmatched.
The championships run until Wednesday. John Hunt, 7 Tasmania News.
Hobart's Jacob Despard couldn't recapture his 2018 title success at Stawell, but he managed to make the backmarkers final after being bundled out in the semis.
Good evening. Another below average day today. Devonport and Burnie sharing the state's high at 18 degrees, Launceston 17 and Hobart making it to 12. Across the state, Low Head and Wynyard got to 18, St Helens and Strawn 16, Grove 12. The satellite shows south to southwesterly winds pushing cloud over southern and eastern Tasmania. Further out, low-level cloud sits over much of the state and Victoria, with a frontal cloud band approaching WA from the west. Tomorrow's chart shows a ridge of high pressure over eastern Australia. A trough crossing the southwest of the mainland while a tropical cyclone develops north of WA. Winds variable to southeasterly, 5 to 15 knots in the north, 15 to 25 in the east and between 10 and 20 in the south and west. Swells sitting at 3 metres in the east, 2.5 in the south, 2 in the west and 1 in the north. A strong wind warning for east of Flinders Island to the northeast coast, and a sheep graziers alert from the Midlands, east coast and southeast. Looking ahead to tomorrow, showers easing for Hobart and Adventure Bay, 17, Tarraleah cloudy and 16, partly cloudy and 21 degrees for Launceston, Devonport and Bridport, 20, Burnie mostly sunny and 18, also sunny for Marrawar and Strawn, 19. To the east, a shower or two for St Helens, 18, 16 in Swansea, and a shower or two for Whitemark, 19. On Wednesday, showers about the east and northwest, a chance of showers in the north. Light showers in the east and south on Thursday, fine elsewhere. And a fine Friday, apart for light showers in the east. In the mainland centres, Canberra 19 and partly cloudy, Darwin a possible storm and 31, and clouds for Melbourne and a top of 20. And currently in Hobart, it's cloudy and 11, Launceston partly cloudy and 12, and Devonport's mostly clear and 13. And have a wonderful night, Lou. I hope you're rugging up.
I certainly will be. Thank you for that, Annie. That's all your news for this Monday night. I'll be back later on with updates. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you again tomorrow as well. Good night.